What's up, beauties? Welcome back to the podcast. I got a new setup. We'll see if I can do this week to week because I think the background is really nice. So I'm back. I've been on a bit of a break. I'm here. I have my coffee. Like I said, I'm doing, for those that are listening, this video is on YouTube. Just in case you're listening on like Spotify or Apple, you can watch the video if you want on my YouTube channel. I'm back to YouTube. It's just been, I'll just do like a little bit of a catch up, and then I want to talk today about just tips on navigating the creative void, because for me, I have been in this like weird in-between phase for a few months, and I really leaned into it over the last month or so and simplified my life, simplified my business, simplified the back end of my business, because I felt like it just needed to be purified and cleared out. Not because anything was bad about it. Like, I had an amazing team and I was trying to scale my business in a certain way, and it just wasn't working. And I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, it's time to strip it back. And this is probably like the biggest tip that I can give you today. If you're in the void space, especially if you're a creative like myself, you know, where my livelihood depends on creating things. If I don't create shit, I don't get paid. So, you know, it's really important to learn how to navigate the ebbs and the flows. And I've been in a dip of productivity in the sense of like, it hasn't been creating the outcome that I was expecting, but that is a lesson in and of itself. So I'll just give you guys like a little backstory, a little context for why I've been missing in action. So over the last 2 years, I just really leaned into the business side of things. I think I spent many years focused on relationships in my life, and that was kind of like the primary focus: intimacy and healing, relationship stuff. I was at home, I was living at home all throughout and before COVID, so that was a lesson in and of itself. But, you know, I leaned into the intimacy lessons that were presenting themselves back then, and it felt like that was exactly where I needed to be. I entered a group for a year where I was participating in a women's group. I led Rose Temple myself for a year. Last year, we're on our second year now of Rose Temple. It's a smaller group this year. It's a bit of a different structure, and probably the last year that I'll run that. But it's just been a lot of intimacy stuff, and that served a purpose. And then I hired a team in summer of 2022, which was amazing. Loved being supported. It was an amazing investment. I was, I felt so nourished on the admin side that I created a shitload of stuff, but not a lot of that stuff went very far. And so I had to really step back like about 2 months ago and reevaluate my whole business and be like, what am I doing? What I'm trying to scale in a way that for me just is not working right now for whatever reason. You know what I mean? I hired mentors, I worked with people, and I got a lot of great advice, and it worked for them, but it just wasn't working for me. And that was humbling because I had invested thousands and thousands of dollars, but I don't consider any of that. I have no regrets because in everything you can learn something. So I learned from all these things, but what I realized was that, number one, I was not having fun. I was creating like a maniac, but I wasn't really, I love the creation process. Let's like split this up. I love making shit. It actually brings me joy. I love the genesis of an idea and then birthing it. That's something as a creative person that brings me a lot of joy. It was the selling and the marketing of these things that were not feeling totally alive in my system, and that is why I know that they didn't go very far. And that again was a very humbling lesson, because you can push and push, but you can only push so hard. Like, if it's not working, you've got to take a step back and really reflect. And so, yeah, I spent a year doing that, pumping out ideas, but not going very far with them. And I realized, okay, it was like, take a deep breath. My whole body was in survival mode, because I had hired this team, and then I felt the pressure of double the amount of revenue that I needed to be producing that wasn't coming the way that I expected it to. So it has been lessons on lessons about surrendering, listening, about the death portal. Like, you can't birth new things until other things die. And we're so afraid in this culture of death. I'm studying Tibetan Buddhism right now because I'm that type of person that just for shits and giggles, I study like the most intense stuff. So I found a great teacher, Sydney, from her handle, by the way, is Hot God Club. I'm also studying some things with 3 Jewels in New York City. And bottom line, like, one of the teachings of Buddhism is keep death in your heart. And what that means is that we, in Buddhism, and I love Buddhism because it's very straight and to the point, like me, it's very blunt. And it's like, we are literally in this body rotting, like every day one step closer to dying. Today could be the day that we die. We don't know. And so long as we know that every day is fleeting and that we should probably do the absolute most to relieve ourselves of suffering so that we don't have to. In Buddhism, it's like samsara is this wheel of incarnation into suffering. And we're on a suffering plane because we see suffering. Like, so long as you as a human being are seeing people suffer, you've incarnated onto this plane of suffering, right? So the whole point of Buddhism is to get free. Free of suffering, free of having to continue to incarnate into this pain body and to actually be enlightened. So who knows if I'll get enlightened this lifetime, but the point is that's the goals. And it's not just for myself. The lineage of Tibetan Buddhism that I'm studying, the Mahayana, is just to relieve yourself of suffering so that you can free everybody else too. It's in favor of all beings being free of suffering. And so I love this because it keeps things in check. It sounds extreme, but when I remember that every day I'm dying and that today could be the last day, why wouldn't that make me want to do whatever it takes to be happy, to be joyful? Not to bypass your pain. You got to feel your shit, right? Feel it to heal it, but don't wallow in it. That's where I'm at lately with my healing process and with my wholeness. I'm kind of over this things about healing constantly. I'm about playing this year, leaning into joy, centering joyfulness, centering joyful effort. You know, the more that you are joyful in the things that you're doing and rejoicing in them, the better it gets. And again, I think studying Buddhism has given me just an alternative. I'm not married to any specific thing, but it's given me an opportunity to shift my mind. And your mind is where your suffering is created. So number one way of, and something that I've been really leaning into is my meditation practice, but not just meditation. I've been doing a few things. So I'm going to actually divide this into chapters and give you guys some tips on how personally I've been navigating this creative void space. And if you're not a creative for work, you're still a creator. Like, we are all creative people, but most people are not tapped in to their creative energy. And so they feel like they're stagnant, like things are not growing, like they're not artistic, for example, because we think an artist has to be a specific label or way of living your life. At the end of the day, we all come in with the spark of creation. Like, you have that spark within you, but you've got to fucking fan the flame. You know what I'm saying? You got to add some oxygen. And I think that most people, so I did a poll just to kind of put this into context on my YouTube, and I asked in the community tab what you guys were struggling with the most, those of you that are watching this on YouTube. And I said, what is your biggest struggle right now? Like, the struggle that is like the most pain in the ass struggle that you would do just about anything to resolve. Like, it's at a 10. If like 10 is the most challenging, you're at like a 9 or a 10 around this topic. What is it? And what you guys told me was that the majority of you, and it was a close call here, close in the poll, but the majority of you said that the biggest struggle was finances right now, that you need a boost in your finances. The second runner-up was that your love life is either messy or non-existent, and you're wanting healthy connection. So I have a solution for you right now. And it's not going to necessarily get you the immediate outcome that you want, but it will help. Most people that are in scarcity, let's say, like you're feeling like money is running away from you, or you're feeling like love is running away from you and eluding you. Like, what channels do you have available for those things to come to you? We sit here and we think like money's just going to drop onto our lap. And I'll be honest, once in a while it has, but that's not really how it works. Like, you have to be proactive too. Or we think like love's, like, if I am a hermit, because I love being at home, but I know that when I'm locked inside my apartment, like, I'm not meeting people. If you want a relationship, for example, and you're single, and all you do is sit inside your apartment, do you think you're going to meet somebody? Pretty unlikely. It's more likely going to happen that you're out living your life, happy, chilling, doing the things that you love to do, and it happens. That's usually how it works. So if you're struggling with money, or you're struggling and you're in this void space, or you're struggling with love even, and you feel like it's running away from you, like money just wants to go off and be with other people and not you, or love is unavailable and it just is running away to go be with others and not choosing you. you really have to remember that you need to create channels for it to come in. So if I want to make money, but I have absolutely no channel for that money to travel through so that it can reach me, how am I going to make it? So a lot of people have their channel of money is their 9-to-5 job, and you get a paycheck. Great. You have a way for money to come to you. You show up at your job, you clock in or whatever, you're there, and you know that at the end of your 2 weeks or whatever, you're getting a paycheck. When you work for yourself, like I do, and you're self-employed, you need ways for money to reach you. So you need a service, or you need an offering, or you need a payment button, or you need something, so a donation button. Like you need a way for money to find you, to come to you. And so for me, like different channels of money to come to me are YouTube, Instagram, one-to-one intuitive readings, my courses, right? My meditations and things that are for sale in my store, and my e-courses and programs. Like those are all ways for money to come to me. So that's number one. Same with love. Like you need channels for love to come find you. You need to get out of the house, for example. You need to like make sure that when you're walking out the door, like that your mind is right. You don't have to be perfect. Like we all have bad days, but I'm just saying the more that you pour into you and make sure that you've got ways for people to meet you, like go to a different place than you normally go to. Go out for a coffee. Go for a walk. Like for me, a big thing is I call them my hot girl walks. And I literally will put on lip gloss, not go out looking like a piece of shit, like actually pay attention. I don't overdo it because I'm walking. I'm going to be sweaty or whatever. Okay, do my little ponytail, cute. I'm feeling cute today. Put on my hoops, put on my little lip gloss, or put on a cute outfit or whatever, and go walk and flirt with the universe. I'm using this as a way to navigate the void because this is how I've been able to stay in a fairly good space despite a lot of uncertainty, a lot of financial uncertainty. Like I've been navigating a really big change lately. I'm not gonna lie, there were definitely days that I cried myself to sleep, definitely days that I had a pit of anxiety in my stomach, but I don't let myself stay there because it's not productive. Like it's not worth it. It's not going to fix anything sitting there anxious. You might feel anxious and you can feel those things, but for me it's very important that I stay moving in the direction of what I actually desire and making sure that I'm, like I said, clearing out the channels and getting out and about and being open to life, right? So go out and flirt with the universe. Go out and flirt with people. Look them in the eye. Make eye contact. Smile. You will be... I joke with my sister all the time because she's always like shocked that just being out in the world and smiling and making eye contact has led to so many opportunities. But I tell her all the time, it's not complicated. We make it complicated. It gets to be simple. So I'm just going to put those two things out there because if you are one of those people that are really struggling with money, I mean, there's a million ways that you can start to, align with more abundance and get to the root of why you're feeling that way. But I'm tired personally of digging into my wounds. Like I'm just tired of it. I'm more interested at this point after a decade of like self-help to lean into joy. Because I know how to feel my feelings. You can't bypass them. You have to let yourself go to those places. If you're feeling angry, feel it. In fact, the faster that you let yourself feel it and do something that allows you to move that energy. So if you're angry, punch a pillow, listen to Eminem or rage music, go for a walk, go exercise, move the energy. Like those emotions are just energy. They're raw energy, actually. So my thing is like, the feelings that are being unearthed in the void space are important, and we should pay attention in a sense of not ignoring them. We don't want to avoid things and let them fester into dis-ease in our body because the emotions that we don't deal with will eventually find a way to get our attention. And I'd rather they get my attention by me waking up pissed off one day and then going for a angry walk, like, and walk it out. And I always feel better afterwards than to pretend like I'm not angry, try to gaslight myself into being happy, and then it turns into acne or it turns into a backache or a headache. Like this is what happens if we don't feel our feelings. So it is important, but getting carried away and making stories and creating a whole narrative around your emotions is definitely, again, I'm studying Buddhism and it's really helpful to remember that like those stories, we're making them up. So why not just let that emotion move through you and go about your day? Do you know what I mean? that's where I'm at with that. So again, it's nuanced depending on where you're at. You know, if you need more deep support, then get it. You know what I mean? Work with a therapist. Go do a somatic therapist. Do trauma work. Like whatever you need to do. But personally, I'm not in that phase anymore. So I'm in a place where I want to invite more joy and more playfulness and more creativity into my world. So just some tips on like navigating this creative void. I said already, first and foremost, meditation. Sorry, let me just check the time. Meditation is a huge one. So whatever that looks like for you. You know, I do a mantra practice some days. I love Om Mani Padme Om, which is a Buddhist mantra, Jewel in the Lotus, which is one of my faves. I've been also studying at the Yogananda Institute in San Francisco, the Self-Realization Fellowship. So I've been doing Kriya Yoga, kind of like training for my own personal practice, which has been great. So whatever meditation looks like for you, for me, it literally is a way to be like to clear my mind, to clear when the mind is clear, the path is clear, but the mind is very busy. So, you know, that's my first and foremost way to like clear out my intuitive channel, clear out my emotional channels, and just be more open to receive intuitive guidance from my own higher self. You know what I mean? So that's first and foremost. Number two, I've been back to, and I don't have the book because I've gotten rid of all of my books. I moved so many times. I only have like 6 books. So I'm back to morning pages, which are, I'm obsessed. Like this is helping so much. Again, as a creative especially, but I think this would help anybody. But it's written as a book for creatives. This is not a new book. It's an old book, but it's a great one. And part of it is called Morning Pages. So it's like you write 3 pages of brain dump every morning. I started a Google Doc. I made it with fun colors. My print is like hot pink when I'm typing, so it makes me happy. I open it up, boom, date, and then 3 pages of brain dumping, whatever I'm thinking about. There's no form to it. There's no agenda. Like you're literally dumping out what's in your mind because it's so full of shit, you guys, that until we start to clear the clutter, just like in your home, if you have a lot of clutter, don't be surprised if you're anxious or can't focus. Like your home is also representative of how you feel. So is your mind, right? That's why mindfulness is so important. So brain dump 3 pages. What I've noticed time and time again when I commit to the morning pages, which it's almost like therapy. It's so cathartic for me to just get shit out. I start getting ideas. Not only do I feel better, but the ideas start coming in pretty quickly. I've already gotten like 2 ideas. I haven't run with them yet because I'm giving myself the month of July to be creative without an agenda, without launching anything. I mean, I have one-to-one readings available, but that's it right now. And just creating content and just see where it leads me and do this practice every day. So morning pages, highly recommend. You can Google about it. Again, the author is Julia Cameron. I'm on to those. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, number 1, like really basic, get outside. Breathing fresh air does something to your body, and I think like when we're in maybe crisis mode, we forget that we need to go out and breathe, touch grass, you guys. So after I upload this podcast, I'm going to the pool to journal and to lay outside to get some sunshine. I also highly recommend getting some sunshine, even if you go earlier in the morning or late in the day. I don't tend to go out midday, but like get sun. Like sunshine is healing. Don't be afraid of the sun. You don't have to go out and bake for 4 hours. And if you want to wear sunscreen, wear your sunscreen, but go get some sunshine. It's got healthy vitamins and little solar codes for us. It charges our body with life force. So I'm not afraid of the sun because I also don't eat inflammatory diet. And when I changed my diet and I stopped eating inflammatory foods, I stopped getting sunburned as easily, and I don't have trouble in the sun like I used to. I don't know. I've read books about this. It's really interesting. I won't get into that on the podcast. Maybe it's a little controversial. Obviously, people still get sun cancer and stuff for skin cancer, but I still wear sunscreen, but I'm not afraid of the sun. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, because I eat a diet that's like super antioxidants and lots of vegetables, and I don't really eat meat, and so, you know, no sugar really. So all those things really help your body maintain its health and its radiance without having to be afraid. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just me. That's like for a different podcast, but I've been on this like holistic health journey for a long time because I used to be really sick, and I literally hardly ever get sick anymore. So on to the next. So get outside and get some sunshine. Highly recommend. Okay, another one, and this can feel scary when you're going through it, but I highly recommend. When you're in the void and there's space, so for example, I had like some clients reach out to me this week, like people getting let go from their job, getting demoted suddenly, like having a raise and increase, and then all of a sudden going back, like getting dropped 10 grand in their pay grade, all of a sudden thinking they were getting this promotion long term, and then it didn't last very long, and shit like that. Like just unexpected surprises, space being made. My recommendation, lean in even harder. Lean in, create even more space. Space is like a vacuum. It's magnetic. Think about it. Everything is born in the void. Everything's born from the void, from the darkness, from the womb. It's like the divine feminine energy is like where creation begins, right? So like you've got to experience emptiness for something new to come. And the more that you cling and grip and grasp and try and force it, believe me, you guys, I did it all last year. I tried my absolute damnedest to force things to happen the way that I thought they should happen. And guess what? It didn't work. My best laid plans didn't work out. Period. Was it humbling? Yes. Was it hard? Yes. But like, I'm grateful, because why would we want to push something forward that's not meant for us? Where we're going to experience more suffering unnecessarily later, when the universe wants us to line up with what's really going to be good for us. But in order for that to happen, there needs to be endings, deaths, space made. So if you're noticing that space is suddenly popping into your orbit, and all of a sudden you're like, fuck, this thing that I was focused on fell apart. This thing that I wanted didn't come. All of a sudden you're feeling naked. Lean in. Lean in. And the way that I would do that is to let some other things go. What are you clinging and gripping to? Like for me, I will give you specific examples. In my business, I had like all these programs that I was trying to launch, and none of them were really selling. Okay. In fact, I still have to continue doing this because I haven't finished yet. But what I did was like go into my website and I cleaned it out first. I cleaned up some copy. I took some things away. Then I decided to like eliminate some of the classes and stuff that I had for free. Like I just kind of leaned it out, made it more focused on like this moment of what I'm interested in. But I've got to still clear out my store because I don't think that those things are feeling alive, and so they're not selling. You know what I mean? Like all of this dead weight of holding on, thinking, well, maybe at some point it will be interesting. It's like maybe it just isn't meant to be anymore, and you can just let it go and know that creation is limitless. It's limitless, you guys. You will never run out of creativity. You might need to take breaks. It comes in waves and cycles, but like you're never going to run out of ideas. So that's how I see it. I'm like, for every 10 ideas that I've made, 100 more want to be born. But if I don't have space for them and I'm clinging to this old stuff as if it's like the end of the world, just let it go. So I have to actually clear out my storefront. I want to literally just clean it out and make space because something new wants to happen. So I'm like, just let it. That's one example. Another was that I let my team go. I was like, okay, I have to cut my expenses because this is overwhelming, period. So I told them I can't, I got to end our agreement, and they were like, no worries. You know what I mean? I love them. I literally cried. I was so sad. I love my team. I love Stephanie, who was supporting me, is incredible, but she understands. She's like, listen, you're being redirected. Like, trust that. So, but that obviously cut my expenses in half, which is taking a huge burden off my plate. I don't have a lot to worry about. My expenses otherwise are very low. So, my overhead's super low for my business. So that relieved me of a huge burden of what was feeling really heavy. And then I even cleared out my space more. So ironically, I was joking because I'm like, wow, I want to start from a clean slate. And my floor, so this is like the craziest thing. I started having leaks in my apartment. I've been here for a year, no issues, but I had a rug in here and it started to leak because this building needs to replace windows and stuff. And so they know that like water is coming into the building. So they have to kind of like get on top of it quickly. But I thought I was going to move my unit. I'm very happy in this unit. It's like, I love it. It's affordable. I have everything I want. I even have my laundry, like love, you know what I mean? But all of a sudden I'm having wet carpet. So anyways, they came, they fixed it, and 2 days later it leaked again. Then I was like, oh my God, fuck. But you know what? I kept visualizing the best outcome. The best and highest outcome for me, whether that meant moving or not, that it was going to be amazing. And guess what? They agreed to replace all my flooring. They took all the rug out, put this vinyl floor, which looks amazing, and haven't had any Nothing. No leaking, no nothing, no issue. So far, so good. And I didn't have to move. And they did it in like 6 hours. Done. And they gave me a unit to work in for the day that was furnished and very nice while they did the work. Period. Done. Like, best possible outcome. Fast solution. I just had to be open. You know what I mean? I asked for what I wanted. I told them I want to stay in my unit if possible. This is what I want. But I'm open and flexible. Let me know. You know what I mean? And they fixed it. And it's fine. So I'm just using that as an example. And now I have this new foundation. It's like weird. It's like a little metaphor. So I just wanted to share that part. What else is on my notes? Oh, obviously, okay, this is like pretty obvious, but I would say like you need to sleep. Get more sleep. Like when you're in the void and you're stressed and your body is feeling that stress, like you need to rejuvenate at night. You need to rest. So I have been going to bed earlier. My sleep cycles have been kind of on and off. You know, I was waking up really early a few weeks ago, and now I've been sleeping a little bit more. I'm just trusting that my body is getting what it needs. So obviously, get more sleep. Cut out screen time, you know, get off the phone at night, turn it on airplane mode earlier, and just go to sleep. Go to bed. Like, lay in bed and let yourself rest. Take a day during the week, one day, off. Like, don't book anything. Just rest and rest and rest. It's very important. This is another one that I've been doing, so setting some time aside to just create without an attachment to an outcome. So I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. Without an outcome, meaning like set some time aside during the day to just make things without needing to show anyone. No, it can be fucking gross, ugly, stupid, whatever. Just create. So I've been pulling out my watercolors. I make Pinterest boards. I do playlists. I do all kinds of things like that with zero outcome. Like, for my own pleasure, but the act of creating is actually, again, very healing, and it builds momentum so that you're not sitting there in analysis paralysis. So making time for creativity just for the sake of being creative, period. Couldn't stress that enough. Obviously, get in your body. So we tend to be in our heads during a void space trying to figure it out. And I can tell you right now that that is a waste of your energy. One of the best things you can do is get into your body, move, exercise, get on the floor, stretch, move, put on dance music, move in a sensual way. Set time aside to be in your body instead of in your head. I've been exercising more. I've been lifting weights again. I've been going to the gym. Like, I've been walking outside. And it is so healing. In fact, I'm going to do it after this before I go to the pool. So get in your body and get out of your head. Your body holds wisdom, but we need to be there in order to hear it. Not in our logic, stuck up there. And last but not least, ask for support. They say you gotta to pray, if you want to use the word praying, but if that doesn't resonate, like literally ask for support. I will say out loud, because think about it. The higher realm isn't going to step in sometimes unless we ask. They're not going to intervene unless we have free will. So ask. I literally was like, angels, guides, ascended masters, whoever's listening, drop in and please help me with this issue, whether it be the finances, the next step, you need a piece of clarity, ask for it. And then say, I'm asking for this to drop in a way that's so clear and recognizable that I can't miss it. Please. Thank you. So be it. And watch what happens. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Keep it under a half an hour. If you guys are interested in a one-to-one intuitive readings, I have a sale going right now. I do not know how long these will be available. But 60 or 90 minutes starting at $222. I would love to support you if you want some one-to-one guidance. The link is in the description. And honestly, that is it for the moment while I remodel and renovate behind the scenes. So I will catch you guys next week. Sending you so much love. Subscribe, follow, hit the bell for notification links on YouTube. Peace out, you guys.